Hi guys, it's TechBoy here with another video. This video is talking about Apple's September 2013 event and what to expect from it. They have come out and confirmed that the event will be happening on September the 10th, and this video is mainly focusing on what they will be actually announcing during this event. So let's get started. Obviously, when it comes to these events, you've obviously got to refer back to the rumours, and it is highly rumoured to be the iPhone 5S, the iOS 7 public release, the iPhone 5C, which will be the first time they've released two phones at the same event, but also in the same calendar year, iWork updates, and iPod and iTunes updates. Now, if you click on any of these images or on the text down the middle of the screen, it will take you to that relevant part of the video. Now, I presume you're staying on to hear about the iPhone 5S, so let's get straight into it. The iPhone 5 was out in September 2012, which was just 11 months after the 4S. Check out my top 10 iPhone 5S features video, which I will leave a link for down in the description below. People, I think, are disliking the video. I'm personally coming out and saying this, that they're disliking the video because it's not what people want. People want things like bigger screens, higher resolution, higher megapixels for cameras, all of that, but none of that is really going to happen in the 5S update based on the latest rumours and all that. So, release day of September the 20th is highly rumoured, so expect the pre-orders to happen around Friday, September 13th, and probably sell out that day. I stand by everything I said in the top 10 iPhone 5S features video, except mobile payment capabilities for NFC and fingerprint sensor working together. It probably won't work at launch, or it probably won't happen at all for another year or more, because NFC is probably not going to happen at the rate it's going, even though that sucks, because I personally want to see it. Even though AirDrop is Apple's answer to NFC, that's good for file sharing, but all the other stuff, NFC would be really nice to have it. And Apple may wait until more compatible devices exist until they unveil the feature, like with iOS 8, with the iPhone 6 and all that, so they could put NFC in that. Or if they find a way to do it through Bluetooth or something like that, that could be another way of doing it. The Apple A7 chip may have more of a focus on battery life improvement and not so much improvements in speed, but it's expected to be 31% faster, so almost 1/3 faster than the A6 chip. It's possibly going to be a 64-bit chip, which will only work with iOS 7 if Apple internally built it to work with 64-bit processors, but 64-bit processors really take advantage of RAM if there's more than 4 gigabytes. Well, at least that's my understanding of 64-bit processors. But this could be Apple's answer to being quad-core processors to compete with all the Samsung Galaxy devices and all that, by keeping it dual-core for power efficiency, but make it 64-bit to improve the loading times. Rear-facing camera will obviously stay, of course, but it's highly rumoured to stay at 8 megapixels, which is conflicting with rumours earlier in the year saying it was going to be 12 or 13 megapixels, but according to KGI Securities analyst Minji Kuo, he's saying it will stay at 8 megapixels and it will have a wider aperture, an f2.0 aperture, which will also work in conjunction with the dual camera flash on the back, which is highly rumoured. A gold iPhone, think of it more as a champagne colour, is highly rumoured to be released due to the amount of leaked parts, potentially black and graphite version may also be coming out based on the past few days. I personally wouldn't be buying a gold or champagne coloured iPhone, but the black and graphite version looks good, but I personally would want to look at that and a black slate version before making a decision if I was to upgrade to it. And Lightning to USB 3.0 support would be nice, as it's compatible with all the latest Mac computers that are being released at the moment. So let's move right along now to talk about iOS 7. Demo of iOS 7 on the iPhone 5C will be done when that is announced during the keynote. As iOS 7 could contain iPhone 5S exclusive features like dual camera mode and obviously the software to work with a fingerprint sensor. The icons are probably set in concrete now. There's some like the stocks icon I don't personally like, but it's that late in the development cycle for iOS 7, you can almost guarantee they're going to stay as they are. So if the icons are ever going to change, it will probably be in iOS 8. Rumoured release date of September the 10th for iOS 7 to the public, which I somehow doubt is going to happen, be the same day as the latest iPhone will be announced. This is all according to an email via Nuance developer email. If you don't know Nuance, they are the people behind Siri. Apple has never released a new iOS on the same day they've announced a new iPhone. The announcement of our iOS 7 Gold Master, which is the absolute final version for developers, I really expect will be announced on the day and will be September the 10th, obviously, for the announcement. And an announcement of iOS 7 public release date for eligible iOS devices, of course. Usually 2 or 3 days prior to the iPhone launch date, which is expected to be September 20th. So I expect it to be somewhere between and or including 15 to 18 September. So let's move right along now to talk about the iPhone 5C. Now the C is going to stand for colours. Shame on you, you thought I was going to say cheap. It's not going to be cheap because that's the wrong image for Apple. If anything, Apple would want to take the approach of being more affordable. I could just see Phil Schiller coming out and saying this makes the products more affordable and more colours and all. That's the customers are really going to love it. That's like a future quote, I'm just saying right there. The colours are going to be blue, red, green, yellow and white. I am in some way surprised there's going to be no black version because there's probably people like me that prefer the black on the front, but obviously that's what they're going to choose, time will tell. As for the specs, it will be a 4.0-inch Retina display like the iPhone 5S and 5 to reduce fragmentation for developers, because this could overtake the iPhone 4S, so there's no 3.5-inch screen anymore, so they don't have to develop for that anymore. 5 megapixel camera like the iPhone 4 if the 5S has 8 megapixels. The 5C is rumoured to have 8 megapixels, don't get me wrong, but people that don't look into all the specs for the cameras apart from the sensor inside them, they'll think if it came with 8 megapixels, they'll think, well, why would we get an iPhone 5S if the 5C has the same camera as the iPhone 5 and the iPhone 5S? Apple A6 chip with 1GB of RAM. There's faster RAM in the iPhone 5S. I'll leave a link to all that in the description below. Plastic backing in multiple colours. There may be no black model, even though the iPod Touch 5th Gen has a black model. But it will have a feel like the iPod Classic. Lightning connector and come with a set of earpods. And 8GB and potentially 16GB of inbuilt storage. There'll be more on pricing than that later in this video. So let's move along now to talk about the iWork updates very briefly. iWork has Pages, Numbers and Keynote, which is the Apple version of Microsoft Office, you could say. There'll be updates in the App Store for sure. iWork for iCloud was released to the public not that long ago, but it was in beta and then they took it off due to high demand and they couldn't cope with it and all that. So they'll be releasing it to the public, definitely. I can almost definitely say on the same day as iOS 7 is released, which I am saying for now September the 18th, but really September 15 to 18, or so somewhere around there. And redesigned applications for iOS, which could have some resemblance from iWork for iCloud, could be released on the same day of the Keynote, and or when iOS 7 is released, or in October when they announce new iPads and all that, because they could show how the software works better on the iPad, because I personally think people are more likely to use the iWork suite of apps on an iPad than they are on an iPhone, so it would make sense to update it then, even if they just update the icons for Pages, Numbers and Keynote in the short term. And finally, I just want to talk about the iPod plus iTunes component to Apple. In a nutshell, the iPods will most likely remain the same. iPod Shuffle 4 gigabytes instead of 2 gigabytes, so double the storage for the same price, I'm expecting. iPod Nano, it's probably going to stay the same as it is. iPod Touch 16 gigabyte, 5th generation, will probably be the same as the coloured ones that exist at the moment, but it will be $199, but only available in black. On the front, that is. 32 gigabytes down to $299, and 64 gigabytes down to $399, all in those same colours as is on the image on the right there. iPod Classic, they've done nothing to it recently, so I hope they bring an update or something to it sometime soon. Either a slight price drop, or could even have more storage in it, or even a touchscreen. I mean, that'd be easier to navigate around it and all that, but it could be for fun, better searching, but it probably won't happen. I'm just putting it out there because iTunes 11.1 will probably be released around when iOS 7 gets released, and come with support for iOS 7 to install that if you don't do it over Wi-Fi, and also come with iTunes Radio, so it works on your Mac and PC. And that is all of the iPod and iTunes stuff. So before I finish this video, I just want to talk about some minor predictions. The iPhone 5, I personally think, will sell at 16 gigabytes of memory for $99 on a 2-year contract, or $679 unlocked in Australia. But I personally think this will be the lineup for the whole iPhone lineup, at all Australian prices, by the way. 128 gigabytes, first time for an iPhone 5S, is highly rumoured. No announcements related to Macs and iPads until October. The 5 and 5C, as Apple will either make it the 5C to sell it at $599 Australian dollars, or keep it at the iPhone 5 but $679. It all comes down to quality versus price for the emerging markets, especially in China and all that, to grow their market share. That's mainly the biggest reason why they're probably making the 5C. I'm sure Tim Cook has a lot of influence in that, because I don't think Steve Jobs would have done it. It might make it 5C to entice people to spend $100 extra for twice the storage, from 8 to 16 gigabytes, but it might make it $100 more. This is all for 2-year contracts, to get all the benefits of the iPhone 5S that the iPhone 5C would obviously have, like a better camera, fingerprint sensor, more storage, etc, etc. The iPhone 5S will probably be the last product announced, as they will want it to be their best product going into the Christmas season in terms of smartphones. So that's all the expectations I am expecting, and thank you very much for watching it. And the question for you, the audience, is what announcement are you most looking forward to at this September event? If it doesn't get announced, if this is after the event has happened, when do you expect the thing you're looking out for to be announced? So you let me know by leaving a comment in the section below, and if you enjoyed this, please give it a like. So I will leave details to everything in the comment section below, including links to live broadcasts of this event if Apple chooses to do it live. So that's it all for now.